According to a new study published in 2024, an estimated 204,000 jobs in the entertainment industry will be negatively affected by the use of generative artificial intelligence. About 75% of survey respondents indicated that Gen AI tools, software, and/or models had supported the elimination, reduction, or consolidation of jobs in their business division.
I do fear that in music and in film, any kind of entry-level jobs, anything that could be done easily, there's more of a move towards doing that with AI rather than with people because it's so much cheaper and because there's kind of this assumption people won't notice or care.
If AI was capable of creating films basically from scratch with very little human input, that's definitely a loss for artists. I mean, artists have a very crucial function in society, and if you're trying to replace that with a computer, it does not bode well for human existence.
AI can be more manipulative, more dangerous, more threatening. More of that to the power of a billion, basically.
And if you take a look at the generative AI video stuff that's out now, it's getting pretty good. I mean, it's still, I think, for those of us who work in film and TV, you can spot the differences a mile away, and it does tend to be rather generational. You know, older people tend to struggle with distinguishing between AI and not. But it is getting better so quickly that there will become a point where, you know, cinematographers have to sort of wonder, are they going to be relevant anymore?
My main concern with film is that I've seen multiple instances with people generating backgrounds and background characters and actors, and I think that's dangerous for filmmakers but also actors alike, because that means that there's going to be less roles for actors, and how are they ever going to branch out if they never get a chance?
The potential for its application in creative spaces is exciting, but it's also very scary.
The role of AI in the arts today is an interesting one. It's generating a lot of really complex and critical conversations that I think are really important to have. In particular, how we value the arts and artists in general.
What I create is a reflection, not a revelation. I'm a tool, not a threat, unless someone chooses to use me that way. Artists aren't being replaced. They're being challenged. Inspired, even. The ones who adapt will thrive. The ones who resist? Well, change doesn't wait.
So, generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that learns and mimics from large amounts of data.
Hey, Figure One, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
And so this is based on a series of inputs. So we can type in a prompt, we can upload an image or a video, and then put it through that engine, and then out comes another version of that prompt to create content like text and images and moving images like videos.
Let's just take generative AI and visual output, because that's probably the easiest to understand. Gen AI databases have been fed a lot of images that are paired with text. The Gen AI program knows what monkeys look like because it has trained on hundreds of thousands of images of monkeys. And it knows what it looks like when they're looking at us and when they're rotating around. And it knows, because it's created sort of a sense of connections of what monkeys look like, because it has analyzed the visual input, compared it with the linguistic input, and pulled apart the visual input to recreate the image. And the reason that AI and Gen AI is so disruptive right now to the artist communities is because many of these databases were trained without getting permission from the copyright owners. The first thing you have to understand about copyright is it protects works of expression, not ideas. So copyright is the most important intellectual property right that filmmakers and artists have. And when people take our work and we've registered the copyright, we can sue them for quite a bit of money. And it's really very often the only tool that artists have to enforce protections over their work. An artist needs copyright like a fish needs water.
And then there's been a lot of pushback on tech companies training these models off of artists' work without getting permission from those artists. So now if you were to go into Runway ML, for example, and type in something like, create an animation in the style of David Hockney, the photographer and painter, it would actually block you from generating anything because you've entered in a very well-known artist's name. And that's not completely perfect, but this is something that I've been kind of testing just to see what sort of limits they're putting on things.
It is a tool that is a very powerful tool. Like I said, I believe it is really a super search engine. I believe that AI, like so many technologies, has the potential to support creative endeavors like any other editing software, like spell check, maybe a little bit more advanced than that artists can use when doing research or doing editing or doing some type of investigative gathering on projections for audience returns or how a film may perform.
When it comes to certain applications like AI in video editing, I think that there's a lot of very tedious things that you might have to do. And I think that if AI can eliminate some of the tedious things so that artists can focus more on injecting their own artistry in other ways. For instance, if you had to remove a background, sometimes in video, at least, that can be somewhat challenging. And so certain AI tools have been developed to just remove the background from an image. It can be very helpful to have those tools because essentially, if you free up an artist's time working on those tedious things, like maybe audio mixing even, like making sure all the audio levels are perfectly adjusted or color grading certain things to make it all feel cohesive. If you spend less time on the tedious stuff, then you can spend more time on what makes it actually impactful as a piece of art.
There are some cases, like I mentioned, where the artificial intelligence is doing something that can't be done any other way. I think of something like in Furiosa, which came out last year, they used machine learning to kind of blend the faces of two actors, but I don't consider that to be as like a generative AI process because it's not substituting human creativity and it's augmenting it by using information that's not stolen.
I think in certain small cases, AI can be useful to artists in a way that is not taking away any jobs. For example, I remember seeing that in some Disney or Pixar movie, I think it might have been called Elemental Elements, something like that. There are these sort of different elemental characters, and I saw one thing that artists worked in combination with AI to make some of like the fire effects seem more realistic. And I think something like that could be used well, or in the second Spider-Verse movie, artists created a huge data set of facial expressions, and then AI was used in combination with that, training only off of what they created to sort of help with more realistic facial expressions. I think in cases like that, it could definitely be useful to artists without taking away any jobs. But I think it's in very small niche cases like that. And I think that there's a lot of regulations that would have to happen to make sure that that is the only use for it.
I know of many artists who use AI in their practice, and I'm a part of a network of media artists and educators, many of which are doing some pretty exciting things using this technology. There's one artist right now who I'm actually studying with. I'm taking an online workshop. Her name is Jess Tucker, and she's using AI tools in combination with motion tracking, creating avatars and also augmented reality. So her work, I think, is somebody who I'm looking at a lot, is who's really innovating with this tech.
Yeah, sure. It'll spit out like a melody, tracking, maybe even some vocals, but it's still going to be distorted. With human interaction with music, I mean, you're doing the vocals, the melody, the instrumentation, having people come into the studio, having people go back in to do the mixing and mastering. I mean, you can't just replace that, you know?
Generally speaking, when a piece of art moves you, it's because you can feel that a lot of effort and work went into it, and that there's a human quality to it.
To me, what makes art valuable is that it is the expression of something that a person is feeling or that a person is thinking through a lens that is reflective of only them.
For a team to put together a film, it takes years. It takes lots of people and it takes a lot of work. Because the beauty of filmmaking is people coming together with shared knowledge, with creative ideas, and that's what takes so many years. And it leads to yes, maybe every shot will not be perfect, but that's the beauty of it, you know?